Hello, everybody, and welcome to askLRR, the show where you ask and we lure. Great intro, Serge. Hi, I'm Serge. Joining me today, I have...
Hi, it's Ben, and I have a suggestion for that one. It should be welcome to the show. Welcome to askLRR, where you ask questions and also learn.
Ooh.
All right, strong. And we also have...
Workshop Nelly is here as well.
Okay.
Ready to give critiques and just try to, boost up the best ideas we can find.
Fantastic. All right, reminder that askLRR is brought to you exclusively to you via your support through YouTube memberships. If you would like to ask and learn, consider becoming a member.
Catching on. Yeah.
We're doing it. It's happening now.
All right, well, let's crack right on into this. The first question today brought to you by TK. I imagine that as a group of performers who often play caricatures of yourselves, thinking Commodore Hustles or Friday Nights specifically, but performing streaming improv in general, there can be some strain on the old ego and sense of self. What kind of self-care do you use to center and could recommend to other performers?
We're diving right into this.
Yeah, no warm-up question. Let's go.
Holy moly. Yeah, this gets right into the weeds of it, like right away.
Dude, this podcast is work. Yeah.
This isn't just like a question about what my favorite flavor of Gatorade is.
Yeah. That's Ben's question. And Nelson, tell me your favorite puppy story. No, just...
Right. I'm going to throw my answer. I'm going to start off and answer this question first because mine's real quick. I don't have this because I have another full-time job taking care of my small children. So every minute that I have interacting with these other adults that are funny and creative and like challenge me and like know more about basically everything we're doing than I do, except maybe judging magic, then it's like a tie. I'm having a lot of fun and my ego doesn't nibble at me. I'm too busy enjoying this facet of my life. But I'm sure these two have great answers for this question, Ben.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Like a lot of people are surprised when I've met them in person that I'm actually like a fairly quiet person, like in real life. If I'm not in a performance sort of space, I'm fairly quiet, and I mean. What's interesting is we're afforded this sort of cool environment where, the Friday Nights versions, the Commodore Hustle versions, or the performance versions of us, for the most part, are us. They're just like super hyperbolized, and I think that's for the same as like a lot of streamers, right? Like, I mean, Cameron, has like that dry comedic style that he'll do in like Commodore Hustle and whatnot, but like he doesn't hate us as is like indicated in his character, right? And, like I don't know if I could ever see like me do like I would not eat the Simic slaw in real life because I have a very delicate constitution. So what's interesting about it though is because of that, whenever I'm like online and performing, I feel like I need to consistently play up to that sort of aspect, and it's done an interesting thing to my ego where I'm afraid of like dead silences or like dead air on stream. So I always feel like I need to be talking and do that, and that's I think because I've portrayed this very zany and upbeat sort of dude whenever I'm performing. And so in that space, I think it's something that I'm personally trying to become more comfortable with. And I think, I think to help with that, because I just realized that the question was, what self-care do you use?
Yeah, we're like, we've got to the problem part.
Yeah. Because what kind of self-care do I use? A lot of it is talking to my friends and after we're done doing like a performance or something like that, and touching base and making sure that like everyone was comfortable with what's going on. And then at home, I drink a lot of tea Because this seems, I guess, like a long-winded way of asking what is just our self-care routine.
I wanted to, trust me, dude. My brain immediately went to, here's the problems, here's great examples of the problems, here's my analysis of the problems.
As I'm reading this more, it just seems like it's a very interesting way of asking what is our self-care routine.
Well, because in defense of what you talked about, I do feel powerfully and strongly that, particularly in content creator spaces, there isn't enough conversations about the strains to mental health and to ego and to the downside of that. Because there's the glamour and there's the terrifying fact that 75% of kids under 75 or under 17 want to be us. And I'm like, get better role models.
Yeah, big time. Yeah.
But yeah, like, I like tea and long walks. Like, let's do it.
I take mini naps too. I guess I realize I can add to the self-care conversation, but it's coming from a place of like, instead of feeling like the baggage of like the hot lights being on you and having to like pull your personality up for the sake of the stream or whatever, for the sake of your brand. I just feel physically tired, right? Or just like completely done in. But I mean, obviously childcare people need self-care too. So in the conversation, yeah, I just let myself lie down at any time of the day that I can, even for like really short periods of time.
Power
Today
naps.
after dinner, I lay down for about 3 minutes.
Oh,
but
that's
it helped.
really short.
I was just, that was the next time my kid yelled at me to come put him to bed. It was like dinner was done. They were going to play, I thought, for 45 minutes before this. And it was like 10 minutes or something. By the time I was in bed, I was like, Dad, I'm ready to go to bed. I was like, okay.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I nap after dinner probably like 3 to 4 times a week.
You're going to be such an awesome grandpa.
Nap after dinner is fantastic.
Thanksgiving Grandpa Serge. He's gonna fall asleep in front of the TV on the armchair, mouth
Dude,
like
honestly,
wide open.
A big part of my childhood is remembering my mom saying, wake up and go to bed, to my dad, who routinely fell asleep watching hockey in the living room. And I'm like, oh God, I've become my father.
Yeah, we all do. But yeah, I mean, I will actually say recently I went to a pub with a friend who was visiting from out of town. And I haven't like really gone and just like had a drink with a friend just really since the pandemic kind of went, like we went to a bar. And the entire time, I didn't look at my phone even once. The entire time it was in my pocket. I didn't even feel compelled. And it's a very liberating thing. And it's such generic advice, which is like, stop doom scrolling, get off of Twitter, do all those kinds of things and whatnot. But it is actually pretty significant, updo to your mental health to not be on the Twitter and on the internet.
That's sage advice. Shall we move on?
Spend time with your friends.
Yeah.
All right. Planet Hex asks, what was your first impression of your co-presenters? I have an immediate answer to this, but would you two like to go first?
I can wait.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So I met Nelson at Yellow Jacket. Oh man, probably around 2005 when I was just getting back into Magic. I met some friends at university and they wanted to show me this, and my dates might be slightly off, but I remember going in and seeing Hedron Crab behind the case, and I just started shouting in Yellow Jacket. I just started being like, "You mill every time you play a land? 3 cards? It costs 1 mana?" And I just remember looking up and seeing this very patient but also very unimpressed dude, just like, who is this random guy shouting in my store? It's just a Hedron Crab. It's not even that impressive. And I'm like, have you read this card?
Why do his limbs keep moving so much?
So I think that was the first time I met Nelly. Now, what's interesting is I met Ben at Desert Bus. And if I'm perfectly honest, I have no recollection whatsoever of anything that happened that event.
Yeah.
It's just gone. But my first impression of meeting Ben, like registering my brain, is when he first moved to Victoria. And I took a day early off from work. I helped him move in. When we had to brace a door to make it easier to get into the place, we used his Magic collection. I still have a photo of that on my phone. And then we went to the parsonage and took a photo together. And like the day after went to Rib Fest. And it was just like this immediate moment of like helping each other, magic, and good food and warm stuff. So it's like, yeah, Magic and friendship.
It was definitely like a whirlwind sort of adventure, because it was like Serge, like my first impression, I guess, if we're not including that I had seen both of you two, I guess, on the internet in like lure videos and stuff. But it's like, if we're talking like actual meeting, like Serge, I sort of got to see and hang out with because I was on like Zeta shift for Desert Bus. So that was when I was full of youth and vim and vinegar. So I would like stay past like Zeta and stay up, I think, like all like Dawn Guard,
Right. I
and
think
stuff
you
like
roasted
that.
me.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, that was also the for, if we're talking first impressions, first Desert Bus, I got challenged to roast everybody in the room, and I barely knew anybody, or like we didn't have any like connection and stuff, and I was like, this is either gonna go over well or I'm never gonna be invited back. So that worked out super well. And then yeah, I mean, with Nelson, I guess it probably would have been a YJ thing too. I think, because and like you were like the super duper helpful guy at the store who I appreciated very greatly, and was like much in the way of like Serge's sort of thing. I coming into Victoria, I was not like super deep in the magic sphere. Like I had only really started getting deep into magic, or like into magic during like cons, which would have been like 2015 or something like that.
A while after you moved to Victoria, right?
No, cons was like just before. Yeah, so I probably it was more around like maybe Origins, I guess. But anyways, because I moved here in 2016, and yeah, just helpful. You and I think Jer was still working at YJ too, and it was a helpful bunch of boys.
So yeah, Serge definitely did roll in and was more animated than like most whole rooms of Magic players, and like some parts of performing, it is really just yourself, so that's okay. And yeah, Ruin Crab, it's Ruin Crab now, Hedron Crab at the time, like, is also an important mill card. It's just, if you work behind the counter at LGS, you're not allowed to like mill. This part you have to sign a whole contract,
right?
Yeah. So anyone who's really in for mill, you're like, okay, we got to make the money, got to be respectful, but not allowed to like it. Anyways, Serge struck me as a guy who really likes his card shop opening on time, and we've told this story before, but we sort of cemented our friendship in him coming over to my apartment, picking me up with his car, or like his bare hands, like getting me out of bed, putting me in this passenger seat and driving me to work after putting breakfast and coffee into me, so just so that Yellow Jacket would open at 10 a.m. and
I didn't have a job at the time. I would literally just go and sit at YJ while it was empty. And yeah, I would drive Nelly to work on time so it would open so I could just sit there and play Highlander.
It wasn't opening like whole hours late or anything. I want the viewers to know. But like Serge, it's been up since 6 or whatever.
How many Magic players want to be there right at 10 a.m.?
I mean, yeah, in Nelson's defense, YJ does not open. Nelson is not like the sole person that is responsible for it not opening on time.
But for like a 4-month streak one summer, it did.
Yeah.
It's true. YJ's hours are just later now, actually. It's funny.
Yeah.
And then I just remember like we hung out briefly after you had just moved. I remember like walking down Vancouver Street next to the McDonald's and chatting with you like a little bit as I could. I think you were on your way to the moon base and I was on my way to work or something. And I just like found out what you were doing with your career and like where you're coming from and why you moved to Victoria and what you're hoping to get into. And then it's my first impression is sort of colored by what I found out later, which is just like, oh wow, this guy's like so like, good with technology and has all this cool experience with LRR and Desert Bus already. And then I found out how old you were, and at that point I was just like, blah! Like, why wasn't I like an internet kingpin, like out of like diapers or whatever? Sorry, no offense. But yeah, just very impressed. You're both very, very hardworking, colorful characters.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Like, wait a second.
For a second, I thought you were talking about Serge being like intelligent and good with technology, and I was like, you met him, right? Like,
no. Yeah, I'm giving that to you. But Serge is extremely high energy, and we like that about him. And And also did give me a lot of rides to work.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying, I appreciate it. Thanks, buddy.
I think the one thing I really miss was pre-Yellow Jacket Parsonage Highlander, when we just like grab a booth before it got so busy and you could do that. We just jam games there. This was part of the saga of getting Nelly to work on time. Mostly
I
it was
did
just
that with you,
Highlander.
Serge, and I also did it with my fiance at the time for a long time. Like before, now we have kids. We don't really hit the parsonage for breakfast anymore. We got other stuff going on, but I also look wistfully back to those days. Allison too. I've had a lot of great games of Magic in Parsonage actually, and just like get to hang out. No one's coming to me for help during that 45 minutes or whatever. I can just play Highlander. You had to get up and go like put coffee in a bag sometimes when we were doing that on your day off or whatever. Tell someone where the keys to Parsonage are.
They're like, hey, you work
that.
here. It's like, clearly I'm not working right now, but sure, whatever, let's go.
Right. Oh yeah, and you'd have to wait forever for your bagel too for a while there.
All right, let's move on here.
Okay. Moving on.
Joe Mitchell asks, for Ben, what's something you like about snakes as pets? My sister loves snakes, but I've not really seen the appeal myself.
So I get this question a lot, and just questions about being a snake owner in general, and probably the most frequent sort of one along with this is why, because it's like I'll usually get hit with like, like snakes can't feel love, and they're not like a dog and stuff like that. And I think the big thing about being a snake pet owner is sort of people come at it from the same angle as owning a dog or owning a cat or like a large mammal in which you can consistently interact with and do stuff and play around with and whatnot. And for a lot of people that are like super big animal heads, like that is not necessarily what sort of owning a pet is about. So like what I enjoy about snakes is they are a very fun looking at pet. To be clear, every single one of the snakes that I own, I have 3, you can pick up. And I make it a key thing that I want all the snakes in my house to be snakes that like a person can come over and just put their hand in the tank and be fine with it. Like no biting or anything is going to happen. So I have a ball python, a milk snake, and a Kenyan sand boa. And the fun thing about them is they are very low maintenance pets. We feed them once. One of them we feed every week because they are still like a youthful little baby, and the other 2 we feed every 2 weeks. They eat frozen mice that we just keep in the freezer, and you clean their tank once a month. And at minimum, that is all you need to do to own a snake. And it is very, very low maintenance, and you have this cool thing to look at. That is at surface value the cool part about owning a snake. But then if you're somebody like me, I like to handle them and take them out and stuff like that. And they're just really chill to just like sit on the couch, and they're like curling and like crawling all around you and stuff like that. And it's a neat experience that you don't get with a lot of animals, right? Like with a hamster or something like that, actually, I had what were called degus growing up, and they're similar to chinchillas.
The little mice that like to stack, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
They are cute, but you can't like put anything in their tanks that is not metal because they will chew through it and like annihilate it. And like snakes, you can just like Nicole comes home with like different fake plants like every other day, and is like has this like Amazon rainforest that we have like amongst these tanks and all that kind of jazz. And it's just it's a cool, I guess, like project. Why would somebody keep an ant farm, or why would anybody do these? And then
it sounds like a fish tank too. Like people aren't playing with their fish, right?
Yeah, exactly, right. And then the other big thing is, up until I got Remy, I never thought owning a dog would be a thing I could do. Because I have horrid allergies, like horrible allergies. But I take a ton of drugs every day to get through it, and I've discovered that I can. But for people that can't, like I know Serge has awful allergies. I don't think a dog or a cat is ever in the cards for you.
It's bad.
Reptiles are great for that. You are not going to be set off by the things in a reptile tank. And I think for those reasons, that's why snakes make really, really awesome pets. If you're looking to kind of get your first snake. I recommend ball pythons. They're the easiest to handle, very, very, very chill, and they get big and chunky. So if you like some of the bigger, it's not going to get as big as, say, like a Burmese, like our friend and one of Andrew's partners has, where like they get quite large, but they're really chill, and they like to just sleep all day. And if you want maybe one that's like slightly more active, corn snakes are a great way to go. Also very, very docile. And if you want a gigantic wiener that will run away at the slight vibration in the tank, get a milk snake.
All right. When they crawl on you, are they interested in warmth? Like, will they find warmer pockets to get up against?
Sometimes, like they're pretty good at, like, they're not always just trying to search for the place to like chill. Like they like to explore and will go around and whatnot. But then once they're settled, yeah, they'll sit in like a nice sort of warm area. You're a giant, walking like heat pads, so they're naturally very attracted to you.
Have you ever lost one in your apartment?
Yes.
Okay.
So
I feel like I would do that immediately.
Miso, our Kenyan sandbow, when the first week we got him, because he was about the size of my index finger, maybe just like a little bit longer.
Oh, so tiny.
Super duper tiny. And it's still like is about that width, just a little bit longer now. He's never going to get much bigger than that. But yeah, he found there was one like little tree, like branch thingy that was going up enough that he crawled up it, and then there were like little like ventilation holes in the top, like didn't even realize. And yeah, he got out.
Well, this is escaping the tank.
Yes,
not even losing them while you're chilling on the couch.
Oh yeah, you
watching TV.
I mean, you could, I guess, but like, I don't know. They don't zip very fast unless you get something like our milk snake's relatively fast, but
okay.
But yeah, it was just they got lost, and Nicole was distraught for a number of days, and I was like consoling them. And then I think it was 2 days later, we were just like eating in the kitchen, and she looked over and just saw this like little brown noggin pointing out of one of like the radiator things, and it was them, and we got them out, and we
lure them out with food. You're like, come on.
Yeah, and we have since closed anything that is bigger than like a sifter hole on his tank. So yeah.
All right, let's move on to our next question by Dream Writer 4242. Have you ever experienced virtual reality? What do you think of VR? And should Loading Ready Run rename itself to Voting Ready Run, the VRR?
Voxel Ready Run.
Yeah. Virtual Ready Run? Probably virtual.
I think they meant Virtual Ready Run.
Yeah. That makes sense.
My partner got an Oculus 2 as a gift a year ago or something. So I've tried that out, and it's pretty cool. It's still not like at the point like the readily accessible virtual reality consoles and stuff. I don't think are at the point where you feel like it's fully Lawnmower Man or whatever, like you're completely deprived of your other senses in the real world. But it's good. It's immersive. Like I played an immersive mini golf game, and I tried Super Hot once, and there's some kind of weird like ultimate frisbee but in space. Yeah, I can't remember what that one's called, but that's somewhat popular, where you have to like grab parts of the room with your hands and then push off, and you have like tiny jets, but most of the physics I think is with the like action of your hands pushing off.
That sounds really cool, actually.
It's pretty cool. It was like very steep learning curve, and also made me seasick. So I like only did one session of that, but the fact even that you can be playing a video game that doesn't have like tons of bright lights or whatever and still can like interfere with your limbic system, I think says something about the technology, that it's definitely coming along. And it's fun, but none of the titles have like grabbed me so much that it pulls me away from like the PC gaming that I'm kind of used to and interested in. Yet.
Yeah, I played on Corey and Ian's. I think they've got the Vive, I want to say.
Okay.
A number of years ago, I played like Job Simulator. And it was cool. I definitely ran into things like in the real world because I was like, oh, I just walk over here. So like I got immersed. But like my two issues with it are, yeah, one, as Nelly sort of said, I have yet to be impressed by a single title that has come out with it. Like they all kind of feel like they're still, instead of, I'll admit I haven't gotten like too deep in it, but like every title still looks like it's like, wow, you're in virtual reality. How weird is that? Instead of just being like, yes, this is the controller. Okay, let's tell a story and do something. And the other thing is, it's just like a personal thing. I have like really wicked sensitive eyes, so having the screen like right up on them just makes my eyes water. Even now, just like touching my eyes, they water a little bit. Like I gotta stay away from my face. So yeah, it's tough with the big headsets and whatnot to actually wear, for me anyway.
I played VR quite a bit when I was still working in tech. One of my companies was one of those like San Francisco startup, here's all the crazy perk things, and we had a VR room, as your tech company does, apparently.
Yeah,
sure.
And
right next to the nap pods, right?
I would call Super Hot on VR a transformative experience. I think it is one of the coolest video games I have ever played, ever. And I would go out of my way. I would come in on days off to play Super Hot. I don't think that experience goes for everything else. I tried the other games in it. I found movement to be really clunky and disorienting. But Super Hot did a really interesting job of the whole premise of the game is time only moves when you do. So in that sense, you could just stay and the world is perfectly still. So you can slow down, you can immerse yourself, or you can go really fast. And the game, they'd actually changed it. It wasn't just a straight port. Sorry, the screen froze for a second.
It did.
So I thought
it was
broken.
and it was
I
not
like,
a flattering
pause
freeze.
and wait. Yeah. But then I didn't move, and I was like, "Is it still frozen, or am I frozen?"
I was worried my internet broke there. Yeah,
nothing like testing if something's frozen by standing
by not
still.
moving. I was like, "Oh no, it's frozen!" And we all did it. It was only like a half second. Anyways, so they changed the game so you didn't have to move in the Super Hot VR version. So it was really neat, is you just stood there and you dodged bullets. And the fact that you could see it come at you and you just be like, it was like right out of the Matrix, right? Yeah. And you could grab stuff and you could throw stuff. And I was like, this is so cool. Was it cool enough that I think we should rename the company after it? Probably not. But I think it's got potential. But as Ben was mentioning, I do feel... And you know what's going to happen now is the comments are just going to be full of people being like, you should play X on VR. It has changed this. But it seems in our collective experience, it still feels as though VR is a gimmick. Yes. As if it's not really something that people are developing specifically for. And as such, the quality of game just isn't there for us to be like, yep, this is the only content we make now is we're VR content creators.
Yeah, listen, I am so ready to get Sword Art Online. I'll be the first to say that if you isekai my butt into some sort of fantasy realm, like if you get like the full body thing, I'm there. I will be one of those people that wastes away in the VR thing. But it is not there yet for me.
It's like the new snooze button of the future is just like the ethereal computer voice being like, has been 8 hours since you have drank any water, Ben.
Wake up, Mr. Elmer.
It's going to be a real problem, for sure.
Yeah. But... And then you're just like hitting it or whatever. It's like, nope, not done yet. Can't raid. I don't feel thirsty. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Right?
So
I'm hearing I should try Super Hot again, though. I own it. Like, I could just go play it after this. Yeah.
Your experience may vary, your mileage may vary, but you like shooter games too. So I
do, yeah.
I don't know. There's just something so fascinating. Once I got the controls down, like literally being able to slice a bullet in half with a katana in VR. Right?
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't get that far. Fair enough.
There's the sort of stuff too where because it's pattern recognition on some levels, you start with a knife. You could like throw a knife, their gun would go, you grab the gun out of the air, but you need to remember that you're moving. So as you pull it back, the world stops. You're like, okay, I'm here. How do I do a 90-degree turn, dodge a shotgun, and use this? And if you think of it like a puzzle game, you're like, right? You're
that's
twisting.
Really cool. Yeah.
It's like the limbo all of a sudden. I just hit my microphone with my face. If that was a bullet and super hot, I'd be dead. Yeah. All right. All right. Let's move on. Let's move on. Oh, I picked a question that I can't pronounce the name. Lauren Farquay. Did I nail it?
Yeah. They're from
Asks-
Shrek.
yeah. Ignoring monetary cost and time, what national park or recreation area would you like to camp or vacation in? This is, I guess, specific to camping, but maybe we can open it up to just like vacation where?
Ignoring monetary costs and time is a tough one. Like,
Well, pretend our content creation job
Yeah.
doesn't tank if you take a week off.
Right.
Dreams come true.
Yeah.
sure,
That's ignoring monetary costs.
but like, I don't know. Like, I mean, it's so generic, but you know, I do want to someday do the Japan thing. So many of my friends have done the Japan thing, and I would like to do the Japan thing. That being said, I also am comfortable I want to go real hermit mode, like, and ignoring monetary costs and time in the way that it literally costs me nothing is like, I just want to go into like the forest and live there for a week and just to see if I could do it, because I'm about ready to disconnect from society anyways. So that'd be like my vacation test ground.
Yeah, I also would really like to do the like biking pilgrimage thing in Japan. That sounds super great. Or I don't know, visiting the Great Wall or the pyramids. I'm curious about that. That's not so much. No, those aren't things so much camping, but vacations I'm interested in. Camping specifically. It's funny, when I first read about the Appalachian Trail, that sounds really cool. Like it's like sort of low mountain. Like you do a lot of hiking and climbing, but the climbing isn't like you've got to have special gear climbing. It's just on your feet for the most part. And it's like long and grueling, but tons of beautiful views. And that sounds good. And then I watched a couple TikToks of someone doing it. And it's just like, oh yeah, that's just like a grisly camping, disgusting adventure because there's so many bugs or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I guess that's all the outdoors.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Appalachian Trail sounds pretty cool.
Sam mentioned it in his recent Kamigawa video, Ristic Studies. But there's a big, like, there's a well-known hike to one of like the oldest trees in the world in Japan.
Right.
That sounds like really cool. And I just, despite the fact that I knock on it, like people who put like, I love to hike in their dating profiles and things like that, I do enjoy just like walking in forests and up mountains and stuff. And while not being like a tremendously like excellent physical specimen, I do enjoy doing the hiking thing.
Dude, I used to do so much outdoor physical activity on Vancouver Island before I started hanging out with content creators. It's wild, man. Like when I worked in coffee, I swear to God, every day we'd actually show up in hiking boots and then just go to the ocean or climb up a mountain or something afterwards. And if you check out the social media of my old coworkers at the parsonage, it's always like, look at the top of this beautiful mountain I'm at and went camping in, and I made this beautiful feast. And I'm like, that's great. I've been in front of a computer for the past 140 hours straight. I don't know what happened.
But look at this.
Look at these metrics.
I made in Minecraft. Or look at this boss I just downed in this raid. You tell me what's more impressive.
So it's like, obviously I'm very happy with where I am in my life, but the juxtaposition is just so good. It's very good.
Yeah. A lot of our friends don't like going outdoors. That's why I feel like when it's like going on like actual trip things, you and I tend to do that a lot. It's like you, me, or like James likes to go on like car rides, but also getting James to do things is like pulling teeth sometimes. But,
James is very good if he's the initiator, but is
that
not
was some
very
sick ventriloquism, by the way. For
Thank you. Look at me talking while I
drinking
sip this
like
glass
the
of
water.
water. Yeah, no, James doesn't say yes to a lot of plans you invite him to, but is a tremendous force of energy when he wants to do something.
Yes, totally. Yeah, if James is like interested in doing the thing, it's like, you're gonna do the thing.
Yeah. You're like, I guess I will do this thing.
Yeah. He paid us back with an ice cream by renting an ice cream truck.
Oh my God. The hero. All right, real quick. I've actually been planning a vacation, and here's my criteria. We beat COVID to the point that there is no requirement to isolate in any leg of the journey. That's my check mark for safety. And I realize, hey, I'm double vaxxed and boosted. A lot of people are too. You can legally and safely travel. Still going to wait for the other thing. Everybody has their own comfort level. Move on past that discussion. So here's the plan. I take a month off. I fly. There's no shade at all. I swear to God, I've told this to other people first. I fly to Japan.
Yeah.
For a week.
It's fine.
On my way to Korea, which I've never been to, for 2 weeks. And then before I fly home, because I'm already so close, I briefly stop in Bangkok to get a coffee mug because I'm down one. And then I fly home. And along the way, I visit just enough cafes to film another season of Coffee with Serge and write it all off as a business trip.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, you've got the right idea. Expense everything.
Yeah.
Powerful.
And
So what you're saying is you need a cameraman.
That's what I was going to say. If you're mutual, here's an open invitation. You can join me at any leg of the journey. If you only want to be in Japan for 4 days and we cross paths like ships in the night, except we actually travel together, maybe that's a bad analogy, cool. And then we can go our separate ways. You don't have to join me for an entire month. I probably wouldn't like that anyways. But it'd be really cool to randomly sit down with somebody I love in Kyoto for a coffee. And then that's the end of it. How wild would that be?
My understanding of Korea, I actually think it would be a very, very cool place. Purely on the fact that, from my understanding at least, Korea has a bit more of a younger population to it, so there might be a bit more hip and happening things to do in Korea. I feel like that you could investigate on.
Right, Japan has an aging population.
Yes,
right?
yeah. I think it was like the median age is like 46 or something like that right now.
Really?
Like, yeah, it's wild. So I could,
In Korea, there's a theme park about cheese.
That sounds awesome. I want to go to the cheese park.
Yeah. All right, let's move on here. Joe Mitchell asks, how do you deal with being stereotyped, either in your group of friends or by the internet communities that you're part of, whether that's as the Pokemon guy or the coffee guy or the magic guy or any number of those things? And if you had an issue with the people I pointed at to, you're doing it right now. I imagine this is a consequence of creating entertainment for what you're interested in, but it makes me wonder if any of you ever bothered by this sort of simplification.
You should go first. I'm gonna go pretty long-winded on this one.
Go for it.
Do you want to go first, Serge, or do you want me to go?
No,
first? Okay, I probably have a similar answer to the like self-care big time content creator gigs. If you don't know already, it's sort of clear if you watch a lot of LRR, and you probably watch a lot of LRR if you're watching this podcast or listening. But I'm like more of a part-time, showing up like occasionally, like regularly, but not quite in the same volume as the other two co-presenters here, and that's fine. But it does mean that this question probably comes up more often for them. For me, being stereotyped as the magic guy doesn't bother me too much. Most of my like social media is just a bunch of other magic guys and magic people. And so I don't mind just being lumped into that clique. I do other things though. Obviously we all do. And I guess I just am old enough. Maybe it's like, I don't know, that like this doesn't really get to me. I've just seen all kinds of attitudes out of people and seen people label each other a bunch of different ways, and like seen people coping with this kind of issue in various social circumstances. And yeah, it doesn't weigh down on me too hard, so I just kind of ride it. Sometimes being stereotyped is like helpful. Like you can sort of bounce off of it, like you can use it a little bit.
Well, I have a short answer that might bridge both of these very well, which is I think as a creator it's very important to have branding, and as such you want to create something that's recognizable so that people go, oh right, Serge likes the coffee, that makes sense, I associate with Coffee with Serge, and that's great, and you move forward with that. What becomes frustrating, what becomes a problem, is when you try and get outside of that and people try and push you inside of the box, and you're like, well, hold on, I'm more than just what I presented to you. And it's kind of bizarre that you don't think of that. And the worst possible take of it is when somebody you love wants to do something that you love, and the community tries to tell them that that's out of bounds because they're stepping on your toes. And that's something that we as creators and we as friends are never going to ask about, never going to say. I mean, if I played a Pokemon game, Ben would clap. Ben would be so happy. But I can imagine if I did, people in both of our Twitch chats would be weird about it. And that makes me less likely to want to check it out. And that sucks. And now to Ben.
Yeah, so that was actually what I was going to get at. I don't mind being the Pokemon guy. I think in the same way as Nelson, it helps you out and does all kinds of things. There were more limiting things that I had to try and step out of, like being the plaid guy, which is very funny what I'm wearing today. But it was a very like limiting branding decision. But yeah, with what Serge is kind of saying is the amount of times that I'll be doing like a difficult, like I'll be playing a game on hard mode or something like that, and somebody will be like, oh, do you want me to go call Adam so he can help you with this, or any of those kinds of things, like if you're doing something that maybe one other person at LRR is well known for, and they're like, oh, you should ask so and so for help, and it's like individual people within individual people within our like group of performers don't own one thing, right? Adam is not just the hard video game guy, right? And like I'm not just the Pokemon guy, and Nelly is not just the Minecraft guy or the Magic guy, and
watch
Serge
out on the
just,
Minecraft guy.
Yeah. And Serge is just like, I'm literally gonna stream Minecraft tomorrow. Like as a note, I'm playing Minecraft tomorrow.
Dude, that's sick.
It is Pokemon Minecraft, but that's
another. You're bringing back Pixelmon, dude.
Yes,
right on.
Yeah. But
I'm threatening to stream Minecraft too.
Yeah.
Right now. Watch out. I might stream Minecraft.
And that's the thing, is like I agree with you. I think branding is super duper important, but it's the bigger problem of being put into boxes. Is it's really, really nice for you to, I think as a viewer, even like I would do something like this, is compartmentalize somebody as, I want this kind of content, I go to that person because they're that guy, right? But I think, if you need to be more positive about people breaking out of that, right? So many people, I especially see in Magic specifically, Magic content creators who exclusively do Magic, and they see so much success out of it, and it's really, really exciting. And in the moment that they try and do one other thing, their viewership plummets for like those couple of streams that they do it, and then they're like, oh, I can never not do that, right? And it might be because you're not interested in the thing that they're trying out, right? Maybe you somebody who's streaming Magic decides to do like a dating sim or something like that. But I can guarantee you that it helps out a content creator so much if you allow them to branch out and try other things and stuff. Can
I jump in on there really quickly?
Yeah, go for it.
So for the first 18 months of my home streaming career, I only played Minecraft.
Mm-hmm.
I only did. And I legit got burnt out by it. By the end of it, I was hating it. I was like, I never wanted to play it again. And I was terrified because that's all I had. And I started branching into variety. And I got like 40% of my usual viewership or something like that. And it happens. And this is the same thing they talk about because people develop patterns. And I remember vividly somebody in my chat being like, I don't know if this whole variety thing is working out for you, Serge.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And you just like...
Can't tell if they're trying to be helpful or just skewer you.
But that's the thing. It's just like, what an absolutely devastating blow to my confidence. And this is especially the point where I was still really fixating on viewership while I was streaming. I've stopped doing that about a year ago, and it helped my mental health tremendously. But it's like, screw you in the kindest way possible. Who are you to tell me what kind of content I'm going to make? And while you're live, what a vicious way to undermine somebody's confidence when they're trying to put on a show. It was just so devastating. And then to try and smile and continue on as if something like that didn't happen. I don't know. I'm lucky it happened, about 3 years ago now. I've been doing this for over 4 years now, which is absurd to me. But that was a bad day. That was a bad day.
But I think at the end of it, like what, I guess to sort of loop it back around to the question, ways that I've personally started to kind of like deal with it is I think Serge touched on a really, really great one. I don't even have the tab that shows like my viewership and stuff anymore. I just do the thing because I'm making enough money. So who cares how many people are currently watching the stream at a time, which is like a pretty big part, I think, that helps a number of people. The other thing, though, is busting open those molds. Right, like I'm definitely the Pokemon guy, right? Like because I know a lot about Pokemon, but I would also argue that I know a ton. I could be the Commander guy, right? Or I'm the, you know, like there's all these other sort of various sort of things. Serge is the Minecraft or coffee guy, but also Serge does a lot of strategy games. I'll play a strategy game and somebody will be like, oh, this totally seems like a Serge game, or like a, you know, a builder kind of a thing, right? So yeah, I think for me, the best way of dealing with stereotype is actually completely busting open people's expectations. There's been a small part of me that wants to become the Bashi. Just the moment I become the Bashi, anytime someone is just like, oh, this video game seems pretty hard, I'll be like, shut the hell up. Look what I did.
Do you know you're talking to
I
the
am
Bashi
literally,
right now?
I am a Bashi, yeah.
Oh, I love
I didn't
that.
even know that you were the Pokemon guy. Like I was aware you stream Pokemon, but I guess I know you more in this professional context, and I think of you as the board game guy.
Sick.
Because AFK is kind of your stream, right? Like you're like the manager. I don't know. Sorry, I'm not allowed to spill that on the podcast. But Ben manages AFK basically and helps come up with the lineup, and like, you know, if you want to play a particular board game, you should tell Ben first, and then, you know, he'll tell James or whatever if he wants to. Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah,
I have watched you play Pokemon on your stream, but like, I guess I play Magic with you a lot. So
yeah. So I guess the best thing is, I think different people will have a different box that you're in. So that's actually a cool, I guess, another way to deal with it is realizing that one person might see you one way and another person is going to see you another way. So you don't have to worry about that, I guess, in that aspect, right?
Yeah.
All right. And next up we have...
Oh my God. Oh, Paul's dead.
Oh no, we killed Paul.
Michael Hutton asks, how y'all finding streaming these days compared to when you started?
What a good follow-up.
Nice.
So I still very much enjoy it. What's interesting, and this is actually interesting because this is coming off the back of we're in the new year, so we're starting to do like contract conversations and stuff like that. And what's really interesting for me, not because I'm not going to get into the background of all that, but I've noticed. So I started school doing backstage tech stuff, making shows work and producing them and all that kind of jazz. And then when I started doing this, I was like, I want to be on camera. I want to be the funny guy. I want to do this. I want to do that. But between like Desert Bus and producing like I was saying, like AFK and all these kinds of things, I've realized I actually really just enjoy making shows happen and be good. So yeah, making a show like I'm more interested in doing like a big sort of like event-y type show than doing a, you know, 3 to 4 times a week stream where I'm playing video games. Like I would rather each stream, you know, like I have immense respect for like Sushi Dragon. Sushi Dragon is like literally, I wish I could do stuff like that. I love just like doing funky, goofy things. I think the last time I did one was when we had the heat wave and I did the cold tub stream.
You're a genius, dude.
I love
doing
stuff like that. Yeah.
So real quick, a step back. If you've never heard of it, the Sushi Dragon is a legend on Twitch. They have the most technically advanced setup you've ever seen. We're talking 30 cameras. Their entire body is covered with keyboards and stream decks for different filters. And the main premise of the show is you pay him money and he dances. That's it. He just dances in front of a green screen, but he'll add background dancers. He'll loop himself. So he'll have like a dance off with himself. He'll do camera angles. Whenever he gets a sub, he shoots out a fireball with their name into it. It's so overproduced, it becomes transformative. It's wild.
It's one of the coolest things. Yeah, no, I'm glad you did. And like stuff like that. So I'm currently in limbo trying to figure out like where the next step is for me. I felt like I've kind of been stuck for a little bit. But I've identified that is what I want to do. So now it's about trying to get to that point.
Okay, so my answer is going to probably, again, be pretty opposite from the other two, although I have been streaming somewhat consistently for a year now, which is great for me. And my history with streaming on my home stream is like, God, it's actually almost 10 years old. I started streaming casually, like right around when I first sort of met James and Graham, and like maybe around the time I had been in my first episode of Friday Nights. I'd been watching Twitch TV, but just for the like well-produced StarCraft 2 shows for a year or two, and then I realized like, oh, there's a whole side of Magic, and like I had started watching Kenji Newmont the Nummy like when he was sort of like really trying right at the beginning,
The
like
early
he had
365 stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When he was
when he was doing.
Thank you for subscribing.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I used to do the Kermit
Yeah.
frog hands everywhere. Yeah, and like he had the punt count before I had ever seen anyone else do a punt count, which I think is great. But and I streamed like a little bit, and I was like doing little projects with some groups and stuff. But then it was like any life thing would come up, and it wasn't a regular calendar event for me, and definitely wasn't like something I was looking to do as a career. And then in 2019, I started like pushing myself to be like, okay, well, a bunch of my friends, these people are doing content creation full time, and they're making a go of it, and like some people know who I am, so it'd be a little bit easier for me to get started. So I started just casually doing some streaming of Arena, and then a year ago, I've been like trying to regularly do at least 2 streams a week, usually 3, and I'm still enjoying it actually. Well, I stream mostly Magic, and this new limited format I really like, so I actually just in the past 2 weeks have streamed like 2 more times than I had been planning to, just because like I do still enjoy the performative aspect of it, like getting up in front of whoever is going to be there live and getting to try to make jokes, or just enjoy getting to play Magic and people watch me do terrible plays or occasional sweet plays or greedy plays or whatever it is. So I'm still enjoying it. Yeah, that's where I'm at, and I'm not at a spot where I need to bridge into anything else, but I'm also not at a spot where it's like, well, it's paying all my bills.
Yeah.
Right? yeah. So I'm at this different kind of like, I would say healthy place with it still.
I'm in a really good space right now streaming, just like overall net positive, where I've been doing it for about over 4 years right now. And in the beginning, I didn't necessarily really know. This is funny because it's a knock-on of the conversations we had about stereotyping and branding and stuff like that. I didn't know who I was as a performer, as I didn't really have a performance background prior to LRR. I helped out as an extra, and my background is mostly in production and being a producer and being a project manager and stuff like that. So a lot of the help started off with me being a helper as opposed to me being recruited as talent, which is an interesting way to do it. So I kind of like learned how to be a talent through the back door. And I finally feel like I've got a really good idea of who I am as a performer. And for my home channel, what my branding is and the type of games I want to do. And I talked earlier about burning out on Minecraft, but now it's like, okay, there's a broad niche that gives me enough variety that everything works. And apparently that variety is, get this is peak Serge, spreadsheets and or things I can make pretty.
Yeah.
If I can do one of those 2 things in the game,
nice.
If it needs a spreadsheet or I can make it pretty, Minecraft is both, right? Then it works. And like strategy games are in there, city games are in there. Some city games are just spreadsheet managers, and it's beautiful. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, just finding a lot of confidence in that, and then finding a vibe that works with that, finding a presentation style that works with that. And we talk about authenticity a lot and making sure that it still works and feels like it's me. I'm not putting on a persona. It's a glove that fits. It's not 100% the Venn diagram of who I am, because obviously we've talked about this too. I'm a larger person than just the niche that I present myself with online. But it's feeling good. And obviously the whole journey felt good, but it's comfortable right now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
And I suppose we should go to our final question of the day now. Your favorite pizza topping. Thank you, Joe Mitchell.
I'm going to jump right into the deep end of harsh controversies that have not been solved and will make people squirm in their seat. Because I realized, partly because of my children, this is like the only pizza topping they even really eat. Like they just eat this, and then they leave the rest of the pizza. Like they eat some of the cheese, but they barely eat the crust. It's pineapple.
Yeah, I thought it was coming. Yeah.
I really like pineapple on pizza. I'm down with pineapple in any various combinations of other stuff, but I just want the pineapple in there.
There was a period of time, I recall it where when I used to be in an improv group with like Beej and Ian and Heather and Corey, and Beej would always be in charge of the pizza, and Beej would like only ever let us get Hawaiian. It was
Really?
like, oh yeah, man, like we'd get other ones and stuff like that, but yeah, I'm fairly confident Beej's favorite is Hawaiian, and I just sort of learned to love it.
Okay.
So I'm with you there. It's tough. I think I would eat pretty much anything on pizza. I don't dislike anything on pizza. If I had to say a favorite, I'm gonna say caramelized onions.
Those are good too.
Yeah.
Oh, that kind of caught me out of left field. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna talk about the pizza I had literally before filming this, which was pepperoni pizza and a nap, and I really can't think of much better in life than that.
Yeah. I mean, I have a dog in my crotch.
Nap, though?
That's pretty good.
Yeah, those are
I mean, that's yeah, okay, I guess that's also pretty good.
But you can't go on pizza.
That's also fair.
Nobody tell him.
Yeah. We've learned about. I mean, if we've learned one thing, it's the kind of pizza that Nelson has.
All right, I guess with that, we'll call it a day. Thank you so much for watching.
Darkest ending.
Yeah, I promise I don't eat dogs.
Yeah. This has been askLRR. I've been Serge, joined by the dog eater and the dog owner.
Also own a dog.
We talked about stereotypes today.
Thank you so much for your support. A reminder, this show is only possible from our YouTube members, and if you want to ask questions in the future, consider being one. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. No, doggo!
Bye.
All right, bye.
Quick, dog, come over here. Oh.
No, don't do it!